This is part 2 of my series on the fabled underground labyrinth of Hawara in Egypt. So it was found, and we're going to have a look at the report that they wrote about it. We're going to also have a look at what some of the independent researchers have to say about the place. So let's start with that, because there's some really fun things that and observations that have been made. Let's start with one of my favourite alternative researchers, which is ancient architects.
The Lost Labyrinth is certainly one of the enigmas of ancient Egypt.
The Hawara pyramid site may appear unremarkable today, but to ancient historians, it was a place of awe and grandeur.
Like this was the labyrinth was this sort of 1,000-room structure that was supposedly just absolutely magnificent. You could have fit all of the temples of Karnak and Luxor and all of the temples of Egypt into its footprint.
The legendary labyrinth of Egypt, which had long been mentioned in ancient texts. Herodotus had described it as a massive complex of 3,000 rooms, arranged in a maze-like formation, some above ground and others below. He was forbidden from entering the underground chambers. One of the most intriguing aspects of the labyrinth is its apparent age. The orientation of the structure, which is tilted by 20 to 25 degrees compared to the nearby Hawara pyramid, suggests that it may be much older than the pyramid itself. If this is true, it raises the possibility that the labyrinth predates the pharaohs and could be a relic of a much earlier civilization.
It said it contained memorials of the homeland of each of the kings. But they're in Egypt, they're in the homeland. Weird to say homeland, not like memorials of Egypt. Did they mean like Atlantis, or the Atlantean Empire?
So what did the project team have to say about the results of the project?
The team confirmed substantial archaeological features next to the ruined pyramid of Amenemhat III, covering a huge underground area and displaying the clear geophysical signature of vertical walls with an average thickness of several meters. Appearing at the depth of 8 to 12 meters, there is a grid structure of gigantic size made of a very high resistivity material, very similar to granite.
So in essence, that's really it. That's all we really know from the study that has been done. And I think thanks to the independent researchers, it has been very eloquently summarised. So when you finally get round to reading the actual report, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, it's a good report. It gives you all the background. It tells you about the expedition and the people and what they did and how they did it. And, you know, the history of this place and who actually has seen it throughout history and what they said about it. But when it comes to telling you the details, the actual what did they find stuff, it just feels disappointing. And, you know, it's nice that they are getting into the preservation stuff in the report and how important it is. They also talk about the difficulties they had with dealing with the Egyptian authorities and in fact releasing the information. And you get the feeling that this isn't all the information, that they are actually unable to tell us some things. But hey, that's just my opinion. But at the end of reading it, I felt like screaming out, which of course, you know, is completely ineffectual. But hey, if you're interested in the Labyrinth of Hawara, it is worth a bit of a read, if not just for the historic parts, because that really is very interesting. But let's just quickly talk about the elephant in the room, which really wasn't discussed in the report. Kind of hinted at. But the age of this place there are many people, independent researchers included, as you know from some of the quotes in this video, that believe that this goes back to a much earlier epoch. And from my perspective, that's true. I believe that this is from the time of Zep-Tepi and could be linked to Atlantis. And of course, that's where I get interested, very, very interested in this place, because I am of the opinion that some parts of Egypt were part of an earlier civilization, which the ancient Egyptians came across and made their own. And they did renovations, and in the case of some pyramids, like the Great Pyramid, they covered it in beautiful white gleaming casing stones. In the case of other pyramids, the original structure may not have been a pyramid. It may have been something else, but they believed that the gods had a great love of the structure of the pyramid and created a protection for these ancient buildings by putting a pyramid around them and, of course, covering it in very nice casing stones. So that is what I believe about the pyramids. So some of them are truly dynastic Egyptian structures, and others are more ancient pyramids covered in casing stones. As for this structure, well, this structure, the cardinal direction of the pyramid is slightly different to the direction of the actual labyrinth. So that indicates that the structures were not built at the same time. When I visited the site of the labyrinth, there were a few things that jumped out at me. The first being the enormous size that the labyrinth covers. Even though, there's not much to see there, you can get a feel for how big this place was in the past. And the second is how much rubble there is. It very much looks like it has been quarried, so the topmost level is gone, and all that is left now is whatever is underneath the sand. So, is there more to come? Yes, I believe there is. And I think that the study that was done actually has that information, or at least some of it, and that this structure goes down many levels. And now all we can do is wait and see if the Egyptian authorities actually start excavating there, and wait and see if maybe some other scans, possibly of a satellite type, might be done over the area.